Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Gaming Rewind. So today I actually want to talk about something that's not very retro related, and that's the Sony press conference that took place today. The reason why I want to talk about it on this channel is because it's console gaming related. I'm a console gamer at heart. I've played console games my whole life. I've still played them today, even on the PS4 and everything else. Really this generation is really where we're kind of seeing the generations lines blur or just kind of like disappear entirely. And this press conference where Sony was announcing their new PlayStation hardware was really kind of a big piece in that puzzle. So I just thought, it would be interesting to talk about on this channel. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts as I sort of go through the press conference, talk about the main takeaways that I got from it. And I would just love to hear what you guys have to think about this as well. So, just right off the bat, obviously what the press conference was, they were announcing, Sony finally acknowledged the existence of the PS4 Slim, something that we've all known has existed for, who knows how long now. We've seen unboxings on videos and teardowns and all kinds of stuff. And, Sony was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then finally today, they acknowledged the existence. So yay, we finally got that acknowledgement. So that's going to be the new standard PS4. Going forward, I guess, after the launch date, which we'll get to here in a minute. And then obviously they talked about the bulk of the announcement today was the PlayStation 4 Pro, and we're gonna have to come up with some sort of better way to say that. But PlayStation 4 Pro is essentially the PS4K or the PS4 Neo that we've all been talking about for the last year or so. So basically what they did is, I think they brought out Mark Cerny to kind of just talk about the hardware a little bit. One of the things that I found that was kind of interesting was that they didn't really kind of get mired down in the technical details of it. They just basically said that the GPU is like a little bit over 2 times more powerful than the PS4, and they upped the CPU clock, and they put in like a 1 terabit hard drive. And that's, unless I missed something, which is entirely possible because I was kind of double tasking at work, they didn't really get mired down in specs too much. So I thought that was kind of good. They kind of focused on the games. And then what they did at that point was, obviously they were talking about 4K gaming and that the Neo is going to be able to do 4K gaming. And then they also mentioned HDR. But they sort of explained it like, okay, we're going to show you some games that are going to be rendered in 4K. And then we're going to show you some stuff later that's going to be in 4K HDR. So what they did is that they showed games that had already been released for the most part, except for here. They showed Spider-Man footage that they showed at E3. Oh, actually, I don't know if it was the same footage, but it was being rendered 4K in real time. They also showed For Honor, Deus Ex, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which looked pretty awesome, and Watch Dogs 2, and then Killing Floor 2. So these were all games that they showed, just running in 4K. And, as far as I could tell, they look great. I don't have a 4K monitor. I wasn't streaming in 4K. It was YouTube. It was kind of crappy compression, to be totally honest with you. And, I couldn't tell if they look good. They probably did. I just honestly have no idea. But one of the things that they made sure to mention was the fact that, a lot of the games that they just showed that we're talking about were games that were already out for the PS4. So basically what their main point of, calling that out is that games that are already out are going to be patched. Not all of them, but some of them will be patched to scale appropriately to the PlayStation 4 Pro. So whether that's going to be higher frame rates, just more effects running in 4K or whatever, that's all going to be, I guess, an option. And then the press conference moved into actually kind of highlighting HDR, which is high dynamic range, and just sort of highlighting that's really going to be where you're going to see the biggest improvement in image quality, because you're going to get more colors, much more, contrast in the image. So overall, just the picture is just going to look a hell of a lot better. So what they did at that point, obviously they wanted to show some games in HDR. So sure enough, that's what they did. And they showed off, they showed off that game Days Gone that they ran at E3. That was just sort of like that biker / zombie game. They showed just sort of like a day to night transition, and then like the zombie horde showed up and they threw a Molotov cocktail, showing off all these different kind of lighting effects. And again, it looked like it might have been good over the stream. However, it was very hard to tell. And then they showed Uncharted 4, that chase scene. I don't know. I haven't seen that yet because I haven't actually played the game, but it looked cool. And then, the infamous game that came out a couple years ago, they, redid that for 4K HDR, so I'm sure that's going to look pretty awesome. But one of the things that I thought was really cool about it, and, I would kind of expect this, but it was nice to actually get kind of confirmation. But, the system will be smart enough to realize what display it's actually hooked up to. So if it's hooked up to a 4K display, it will obviously output a 4K image. And support and scale the game properly that way. But then if it's actually hooked up to a 1080p monitor, you're still going to get the benefit of improved hardware from the Neo. So you don't just have to have a 4K monitor. So what it will do is realize it's on a 1080p monitor, and then basically just boost all the image quality that it can to get an amazing 1080p image. So I think that's obviously a very, very good choice. I'm hoping that Microsoft follows suit with the Scorpio. It just seems like a no-brainer. So I'm really kind of hoping that happens. Well, I guess we'll find out. We have no idea anything about the Scorpio, really. So it's nice to see, like, actually, games actually running on this thing. Now, one of the things that they were talking about when they were talking about, old games running on the PlayStation 4 was they were talking about some sort of rendering technique where, they would take the same assets that, ship for a PlayStation 4 game and then re-render them somehow for the, for the Pro. And, Mark Cerny was the one talking about this, and it seemed like he was kind of amping this up as some sort of proprietary technology for the PlayStation 4 hardware. But to me, it just kind of sounds like you're just scaling the assets up for a 4K image. I don't know. Did anybody out there kind of like pick up on that, and like can you explain what that is, like what exactly he was talking about? Because I wasn't sure if that's just kind of like marketing BS or if there was something actually kind of cool going on there. So if anybody knows what that was all about, let me know. Yeah, so they called the thing where they're patching the games called forward compatibility, whatever. And then they went into PSVR. So they actually, it seemed like they kind of skipped right over VR entirely. I was kind of expecting a little bit more. I know, PSVR is pretty much sold out everywhere, but still, it's coming. I figured they would have talked about it unless I missed it. This might have been one of the sections where I was working. I just didn't realize that the time went by and it was gone. I don't know. But it seems like they're talking about a little bit how the Neo is going to improve, some frame rates and resolution for VR, but it seemed like they kind of skipped right over it. But then they did show, to close out Mark's part of the presentation, they showed Horizon Zero Dawn in 4K HDR. And, I didn't need to see that in 4K HDR to know that game looks phenomenal. And then they brought out the CTO of Activision to show off Call of Duty in 4K. They're bringing Modern Warfare Remaster, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 3. They're all going to have 4K support. So that's actually pretty cool. But they said on top of their trademark 60 frame per second gameplay. So you're going to get 4K resolution at 60 frames a second on those. And then EA came out to talk about Frostbite for a hot minute, and I know they were talking about the new Battlefield game and FIFA. I don't know if they actually showed up any footage, because I think that's one of those moments where I had to look away. And then, they talked about the Netflix app coming, and that's going to have 600 hours of 4K HDR content, and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure everybody's going to have that. Now, one thing that they're not going to have, which is kind of amazing if you think about it, is that this thing is not going to have 4K Blu-ray. It's going to stream 4K. It's going to have all the 4K services. It's going to amp itself up as a big 4K streaming thing, but then it's a Sony device that does not have 4K Blu-ray, which is, Sony invented the Blu-ray format. You would think that they would have 4K Blu-ray in their system, but obviously this is a cost-cutting measure because the price points that they announced today were pretty on point. So the PS4 Pro, we got to come up with a name for that, is going to be released on November 10th for $399, which is pretty damn sweet. And, I'll put up a picture here. So I think I'm just going to call this the Big Mac, obviously, because it's got the three buns, one on the top, one on the bottom, one in the middle. And then, obviously, of course, they talked about the Slim, and the Slim is going to release here in just over a week on September 15th for $299. So the price points were, fantastic. I think that's an awesome price point to hit on both accounts. I obviously no 4K Blu-ray support, I think, is just a head scratcher. But you kind of, when you look at the numbers, you kind of understand they probably had to pull that out. But I mean, Sony invented it. Like, why can't you just make it happen? Like, I just don't understand. It's in the Xbox One S, and that's going to come out, and that's going to have, I mean, it's going to have less powerful hardware, but I mean, I don't know. It kind of blows my mind. It's kind of very, very interesting. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole press conference. I got to say, the press conference itself was kind of dry. But the fact that they were just like coming out and, basically confirmed all the things that we'd been talking about in a good way. I mean, it was dry, not a whole lot of surprises, but it was just good to get confirmation on a lot of these details, I guess. So it wasn't the most exciting press conference I've ever seen. But the presentation was solid. There was a couple technical hiccups here and there, but no big deal. Yeah, so what did you guys think about the press conference? What do you guys think about the the new hardware announcements, the price points? I want to hear it all. I want to hear your opinions. So leave them down in the comment section. And swear to God, I'm working on my Phantasy Star 3 review. It is taking me a long time to just get this thing done. So it's taking me a lot of hours to play it and go through the footage and now finally just edit and all that stuff. So it's coming soon, I promise. But guys, this weekend is a video game con. So if you're in the North Jersey area, even if you're kind of like in surrounding areas, come down to a video game con. Look up avideogamecon.com online. You'll see all the details. It's in Parsippany, New Jersey. It's Saturday and Sunday. Lots of cool YouTube guests are going to be there. We're going to have Rich from Review Tech USA, Adam Koralik, Angry Video Game Nerd's going to be there on Sunday. Pat the NES Punk, the game, Norman the Game Historian, more people than I'm forgetting. There's going to be all kinds of people there. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. So make sure to come on down to Jersey and hang out with us. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later.